About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.
What's going on, everybody? We are here to talk some free agency. Free agency is Monday, is the legal tampering, what they want to call it. But we got a lot of trades coming the last couple of days, a lot of news, rumors flying around. We're going to go over our 4 players. We just made a list of each of us 4 players, kind of some realistic options we could see and kind of why. We'll talk about some other guys as well. We'll kind of get into that and kind of what needs and how the Eagles are going to address it. Again, I don't expect big splashes free agency wise, so we can kind of hold off on the very top names. I don't think you're going to see that. Maybe there's a splash in another avenue, another way. We will see. But Matt, how are we doing tonight? You ready to talk some free agency?
Woo! Oh, this is the best time of year, baby. I love this. I love this time of year. Like we're on that. I feel like tomorrow is free agency. Like that's how excited I am right now.
Yeah.
I love this time of year. I love it. I love it. I love it. The draft, free agency. This is where the work goes in to make that team, to start shaping your roster, and you start to see what that picture is going to look like, come June, July. Yeah.
I think another thing too that I enjoy, like with this, especially with doing the podcast stuff and the running the pages and doing all that kind of stuff, is all the different graphics and ideas and putting stuff together, how it looks. Like it's just been, it's funny because I always go back and I'll look back. 2021 was the first year that we did. I think it was 2021. Maybe it was 2020. No, it was 2021 because we started April of 2020 after the draft. So all the graphics started in 2021, and it was just watching it from then until now, and the progression of it. It's fun, and I enjoy it. Like every year doing, whether it's a score graphics, whether it's the free agency graphics, whether it's just putting stuff together, jersey swaps, all that kind of stuff. It's fun. So, and I think
do a great job with that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's just it's enjoyable. It's it's fun. It's something that I taught myself, and just you get better and better. Same with the overlays. If you look year by year, you get better and better, and it makes doing what we do fun. Like we don't get paid to do it. It's just for the love of
ball lovers.
I wouldn't go that far. But as we start off, like as you can see, Bradley Chubb is on the screen there. I think one thing to talk about, and I wanted to emphasize it, especially the way my list is kind of put out there, is don't be surprised if the Eagles go after guys who have been cut, because that does not come into the compensatory formula. And I think that's something that I think the Eagles are going to be after this offseason, when you have guys that you're probably going to lose, like top free agents that you're probably going to lose. I think that you're going to have to look into the compensatory formula, getting a couple picks back for next year, and to be able to use those to replenish your roster as it starts to get more expensive. Well, the one side of the ball starts to get more expensive.
They also, Howie does a good job of doing those 1-year deals, so it's not like you're not murdering your comp pick formula.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have 20 free agents that are going to leave, so the odds of us getting comp picks are pretty good.
Yeah. Even if they get
I think you're right. And and as we go through this list, one thing I want to just call out as we get into this is like, we already covered who we think is going to stay and go from the Eagles. So none of the players that we're talking about today are former Eagles, or at least not on last year's roster, right?
Yeah, these are all outside free agents that we're going to do. Like we can always do our free agent picks, and that would just be boring because, for us, it gives us 2 different shows to talk about. We can do the stay or go Eagles free agents, talk about their own free agents. And then now this is the outside free agents, guys who are available, who are going to become available, and who we can see joining the club to help them for 2026.
Yep.
So I'm going to start with your list. I'm going to put it on the screen, so it's going to cover you, but you can kind of go over your guys as we pop it onto the screen and tell us who you got.
Yeah, so the positions of need I have here in the offseason are tight end. I think is a a big need for us. That third or fourth edge rusher, depending on what happens with Phillips and any external additions. We have guard, I think, can be touched upon most likely in the draft, but I think they need some veteran leadership there. Either to compete with Steen at right guard or just as a veteran backup, with Dickerson's injury history. And then safety, I think Reed Blankenship, I think the writing's on the wall. I think he's gone. And so we'll start there. I have Kobe Bryant from the Super Bowl champion Seahawks as one of my top targets here in the offseason. I think he is kind of a CJ, GJ type of player as far as versatility, attitude, turnover, and ball skills. I think he would be a tremendous addition. I don't think he'll break the bank, but he also, he's not going to get the deal that maybe a Jaquan Brisker would make, or maybe even a Cam Curl. It'd be interesting to see how he gets seen throughout the league. But I think Bryant would be a really nice addition, can play the nickel, can play deep, is not afraid to come up and lay the wood. Are you laughing?
No, I'm not laughing.
All right. Okay. And then, Tremaine Edmonds getting released, by the way.
Interesting.
Especially
with all the rumors we're hearing about a certain player that we'll get into after we talk a little bit.
Yeah. Sayamalo, I have, I think this might make more sense if Stoutland is involved, but, he's 32, 33. He's coming off a ton of injuries throughout the last couple of years, but still playing at a high level with Pittsburgh. I think it would make sense for him to finish his career where he started, how he knows him, how he likes him. I think I'd be interested to see him come in and compete with Steen and push him a little bit for that right guard spot and potentially start there as well. But also be that veteran leadership and back up to Dickerson, who's inevitably going to miss some snaps. And then at tight end, we've heard multiple people say that Goddard is gone. That remains to be seen because of his contract situation. It's a weird one. But if he does go, I'm just kind of following the dots here with Grizzard being our pass game coordinator here. Was the offensive coordinator for Cade in Tampa Bay. Cade is, I think, an underutilized player in the NFL, just like a player that you have on your list that wasn't necessarily seen as a top blocker when they came in the league, but have developed pretty good blocking chops. I think they're both underrated as pass catchers, and he would know the system. He'd be able to be an extra coach on the field. And if you do resign a Goddard or one of the bigger names like Njoku, I think you could still get a guy like Otten to fill that tight end 2 need. And I think he could fill in as tight end 1 for a year. And then depending on what happens at edge, we don't know if we're going to get Phillips back, if we're going to make a trade for a veteran pass rusher. Either way, I think they need a third or fourth edge rusher, depending on what happens there. Ebiketie is a guy that you and I have talked about ad nauseum since he came out of Penn State. Love his burst, love his ability to get to the passer. He's not going to be a huge disruptor in the run game, but I think he'd be an awesome pass rush specialist for us. In a rotation if he doesn't break the bank. I could also see him, and we talked about this before we jumped on, but I could see him getting overpaid by someone. But if he wants to come to a contender and play an prove-it deal and play close to where he, started playing football in college, I think this would be a good move. Do we want to get into some of the guys that didn't make our list because of the graphics, or like maybe you and I can get into cornerback after that?
Yeah, I'll go over my guys and then we can start talking a little bit about some corner guys.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on those guys?
So I like them, every one of them. I get it. like I said, the Bryant may be out of their price range depending on how high it goes. But I think the rest of the guys, and I'm going, Ebiketie, again, he may be another guy that goes out of their price range.
Yeah.
But
so
it
here's
really
my thing.
is all depending.
Here's my thing with let me touch on the Bryant thing. This is such a deep safety class. Like they balled out at the combine. And there's a lot of buzz and a lot of talk about this being a very deep and skilled safety class. That and given the roster here of free agents, like none of these are like really household names outside of Brisker, right? Bryant only because he's a Super Bowl champ, but I feel like this may be like a buyer's market, so to speak, on the safety class, because I don't think anybody's going to be chomping at the bit to get one of these guys, and B, I think a lot of teams are going to say I'd rather just get someone in the draft. So I think a lot of these guys are going to be forced to take 1-2 year deals, prove it deals, to try to reestablish themselves.
I think you're right. I think that is going to be, and I think it's kind of a trend that you're starting to see. Of course, after the first day or two, you see a lot of multi-year deals, and then when you get into the first week, into the second, third week, then you start seeing the 1 year deals fly because the guys, essentially, you want to be signing before the draft. You don't want to sign after the draft because then the team has the upper hand on you because positions get filled and needs get filled by the teams. You want it to be done before the draft because you ultimately have a little bit more of an upper hand than if it was to be after the draft. Yeah.
No, I agree. So, and then for the edge group, and sorry to cut you off there, but a lot of the edge rushers there are a lot of guys that came in the league with a lot of buzz that dealt with injuries that haven't lived up to the hype, like Kwity Paye and Owe and Ojabo and Epineza. Like there's some good names, but they all do kind of one thing well. They're not like well-rounded.
You have a lot of that, and that's whether it's the edge class, whether it's the interior defensive line class. When you take a look at it, there isn't a full. Now, the edge have the top tier guy like Trey Hendrickson, and you have that. But like when you look at the rest of the guys, like there's some guys that do stuff pretty good, but don't excel in others. There's a lot of good run stopping interior defensive linemen with no pass rush. Like there is players, even like the linebackers, there's run stopping linebackers. There's guys that can cover a little bit. Yeah. And like, again, that's what free agency is too. You have to be able to find, the player that's going to fit your scheme, fit your personnel, do what you need them to do. Yeah. And the Eagles have done well at that over the years. Yeah. Whether it's a guy like Zach Bond out of nowhere, getting him, whether it's a Rodney McLeod playing, a great role for the team for a number of seasons, a Malcolm Jenkins, who everyone wanted Jarius Byrd, and you got Malcolm, and Malcolm turned into a franchise legend. Like 1 year deal guys like LeGarrette Blount, Chris Long, like all Becton.
Becton. Yeah.
Stuff like that does come along. You do see that. And like, and like, to like look at my list here, I'm going to pop it up here. And Bradley Chubb, we spoke a little bit about him before the show, you and I. Yeah. And to me, it's like I said, when I talked about players who were released, they're not going to count. And, Chubb would be fits, knows the system. If you can't get Jalen Phillips, you can't get any of the big fish trade-wise, stuff like that. Chubb, I think, would be the option because he knows the system, a veteran, solid player. What do you have, 8.5 sacks last year? Yeah. He is a solid contributor, a solid player, can do both what you need him to do. Vic knows of him, knows what he does. Like, I think Vic had him I think he drafted him in Denver, I believe. I think he had him in 2 places, Denver and Miami. So he's well-versed with him. When I look at the offensive line,
and he knows and sorry to interrupt, but like he knows what Vic wants, right?
Yeah,
which is equally as important, right?
Yeah, that's very, very important when you're running a defense like Fangio's, and you want to make sure the roles that you have, you are making sure that you are doing that. You're not going off script. There isn't any of that that comes into play.
And same thing that we talked about with Cade Otton. Like, he's another coach on the field because he knows the system. Sorry.
That is correct. No, I hear you with that. That is correct. And again, I go with another guy that is familiar with one, I believe Vic Fangio, and two, now I know it doesn't play on the side of the ball, Vic Fangio does coach, but the offensive line coach did coach him in Denver as well, and that is Calvin Anderson, who was just released by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, and this is the offensive line swing tackle type of player that if you're not able to re-sign Fred Johnson, or Fred Johnson wants to go elsewhere, potentially maybe as a starting job, gets something along the lines of that, then you look at a guy like Calvin Anderson, who will not count against the compensatory pick formula, a solid player who has started games in this league, has played games in this league. I think that would be a great fit, especially with that he knows the offensive line coach, so he kind of knows a little bit the structure and everything. So I think that's a great fit for them. He's not going to cost you a ton. He's going to be, a minimum salary type of guy, maybe a million or two, a couple million at most, but he's not going to break the bank.
Love that.
The other two guys I have a safety and I have a tight end. Tight end, we know, of course, when you look at everything along the lines of the tight end position, they need to get bodies. They need to get quality players. Charlie Kolar, I know they had interest when he's coming out of Iowa State. And I just feel like he wasn't a great blocker. He turned into a solid blocker, a solid player, can do a multitude of things. And I think if you pair him with a rookie within the first 3 rounds, I think that's going to be great for you, because you still have Latu, and you still give that the tight end position. You're going to have multiple guys, and with the offense and with Mannion, he's going to want to run a lot more two tight end sets. You're going to need a guy that can block. You're going to need a guy that can pass catch. I think Kolar is not going to break the bank for you as well. I think you're going to be able to get him at a reasonable cost. So for me, I like him in the Eagles offense, and with this coaching staff. I know he didn't play under this coaching staff, but I feel like he could be a good fit for them.
Yeah. Well, and even if we re-sign Goddard, you need a tight end too. You need a reliable tight end too, because Goddard, Goddard misses a lot of time, and B, from everything we've heard, they'd like to use 12 personnel, and so I feel like guys like Kolar and Otton would be reasonably priced tight end twos, even if you do bring in a guy like Goddard. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's something for you.
Yeah.
If they re-sign Grant Calcaterra,
I will become.
There needs to be a bet for you. What are you gonna do?
I will become a Giants fan, and I will leave the country.
Don't
you wish that evil on me, dude?
I know. I was close to putting Jack Stoll on this list, but I feel like I wanted a little bit more of a higher type of player. I could see them signing a Stoll to a 1-year deal as like a tight end.
100%.
3, a special team guy, because I think Latu could be your fullback type. So again, something along the lines of.
Of course, Jack Stoll.
It's a different system, but he can block.
They love Jack Stoll. I would love to have Jack Stoll back as tight end 3. Like if they re-signed Goddard, nabbed Kolar, and got Stoll on like some minimum deal, like that to me is perfect. Like I'm good with that. Like you don't need to draft a tight end at that point.
No. Listen, I'll be all for that plan. Yeah. Last guy I had was safety from the Bengals, Geno Stone. I've liked him ever since he came out of Iowa. I think he's a solid player. I don't think he's going to break the bank for you. He's probably going to be maybe the most expensive out of all these guys. Maybe Chubb probably get a little more than Stone, but I think Stone can do a lot of roles for you. 5'11", 210 pounds. He's a stocky type of player. He's not a thin rail or anything like that. Again, I was close to putting a corner on the list. I was close to putting Trevon Diggs, but I didn't, because to me, I don't think, like, if they sign him, he'd be one of those Azeez Ojulari or Josh Uche type of 1-year prove it type of deal. So I didn't want to throw that on here. But I think Geno Stone can definitely be a serviceable player. And, you and I have talked. I wouldn't be mad if they re-signed Marcus Epps and signed a veteran like a Nick Scott, two guys that they could get for low prices that could fit needs on the team. Both play special teams, and both can fill in and play roles on defense for you. Because listen, I think safety is another position. I believe you need to have the depth because unfortunately, like we all wanted Sidney Brown to turn out to be something. And, to me, I think he may be a guy that a change of scenery happens this offseason, whether it's a trade or he gets released after camp or preseason. But I think they need to get depth in that like reliable depth. And again, you could see a draft pick and maybe a veteran or two in that secondary if they don't re-up with Blankenship. But I think this is a great year because I think there's a plethora of guys that you can put in there. I think safety is probably one of the deeper positions in this free agency class.
I agree.
There's a lot of guys that have started that can give you starting reps that have done it before. So, pretty.
Yeah, you're not going to have you're not going to have the Jarius Byrd, Malcolm Jenkins conundrum.
No.
They're pretty much all Malcolm Jenkins. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to have Hall of Fame careers and win a Super Bowl like that, but like, you understand what I'm saying. They're all kind of like underrated, but like can give you quality starts and experience there. Like Geno Stone, you already talked about. I brought up Kobe Bryant. I think one of the things that, Jaquan Brisker's out there, who we both loved coming out of Penn State. There's some really versatile guys, like in the vein of Kobe Bryant, which I'm surprised you didn't bring up, but Washington out of Baltimore.
Yeah, true.
Adarius Washington. I was surprised you didn't list him because he gives you that slot safety versatility. You've got Cross and Cook. Blackman is going to get another opportunity to hit free agency. Jalen Thompson, who I wanted to trade for a couple years ago. He's a little bit older. He's 28, 29. Cam Curl continues to be a hell of a player. It'll be interesting to see where they go and whether or not it'll be interesting to see if they want kind of a juxtaposition of skill sets because they had Blankenship, who was not necessarily a coverage guru. He was good in coverage most of the time, but like he was more of a run guy and like got everybody set right. That was where his skill set was. It was more in the communication than it was the actual like talent. Like I wonder if you fill that role with like a Jaquan Brisker, right? Or if you're looking for someone more like a CJGJ or Makuba that can play slot, that can play deep, that can come up and hit like a Kobe Bryant, like a Darius Washington, right? Or Cam Curl, right? It'll be interesting to see what they look for there. And it was the same conversation we had about Bond and Campbell when he got drafted. Is like they have very similar skill sets where you can interchange. Your sim blitzes become a little bit less predictable if you can figure that out. Like I wonder if that's a similar kind of thing where it's like you don't have to play guys on one side of the field or the other. Like they can come down and you can flip the coverage easily, and keep those same responsibilities because the skill set carries over. It'll be interesting to see what they go with there.
Yeah, I'm going to be very intrigued how it all plays out, and I think it's of course it's always crazy the first when noon hits, all the deals that go down. I'm very excited to see what happens.
Let's nip this in the bud now. Like CJGJ, he's not coming back. Mekhi Becton is not coming back to the Eagles. I would be. I'm like 90% positive, if not more, that Mekhi Becton would not be an Eagle. The only reason I could see him potentially coming back is because he was cut. But I have been told that there's not much, if any, interest in Mekhi Becton ever being a Philadelphia Eagle again. Just for the record.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you've said that multiple times, yeah.
I have it on pretty good authority that is the case. And there was an article a couple weeks ago, I forget who put it out there, but they said pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, but now when we get into some trade chatter, a lot of news going down today. You have a lot of movement, with trades, DJ Moore going to the Bills. You have, a lot of deals, offensive lineman from the Texans. You have David Montgomery.
Howard going to the Browns.
Howard going to the Browns. You have Montgomery going to the Texans.
Great move,
lot
by the
going
way.
on.
Yeah.
McDuffie to the Rams.
Yep.
So you have a ton of big-time trades happening. And then, of course, you have A.J. Brown, Maxx Crosby that's being talked around, thrown around. A lot of stuff today being thrown around with Max. And then a little before we came on, there was some stuff with A.J., apparently down to the Patriots and the Eagles, depending if he stays in Philly or he goes to the Patriots.
Can you play that clip? Can you do that or no?
What?
Can you play that clip from Rappaport, or is that not? I don't know how you do that technologically, but
I can find it, so we can talk a little bit.
So, yeah, Rappaport. I don't know what it was on. He appeared to be on some sort of like TikTok, where he basically came out and said it is either the Patriots or the Eagles for AJ Brown. Like they're either trading him to the Pats, and the Pats are forking up 2 first-round picks, or a first and a second, or he's staying put. Like that's it. He was pretty blunt about that. So very, very interesting there. And that dropped minutes before we jumped on.
Yeah. I will pull it up. I kind of want to talk a little bit. We'll get back into that. But also when you talk about the Maxx Crosby stuff, and when you take a look at a team like the Chicago Bears, who are getting rid of DJ Moore's salary, they're getting rid of Tremaine Edmonds, cutting him. So, when you have that going on, they're clearing space for something.
I did just see before we jumped on that some Rappaport said that he would be very surprised if Crosby landed in Chicago. Just FYI.
Okay, well, that's another interesting thing.
Like what you're saying makes total sense. I mean, they're doing a salary dump of some sort, which is strange considering you have a quarterback on a rookie deal. You would think they'd be going hard, and who knows? Maybe he's wrong. Maybe they are going hard there. Maybe they're gearing up for Trey Hendrickson. Do they run a 4-3 there? Who's it in Chicago?
Chicago?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who their DC is. I think it is a 4-3. Montez Sweat. Yeah, I think it is a 4-3.
It would make sense for a guy like Hendrickson there because like he's a hand in the dirt type of dude. He's not like that's one of the reasons he's not on my list because he just doesn't fit what Fangio wants to do. I think it's either Crosby or Jalen Phillips. Like I think that's it. I think that's the Eagles' hopes as well. But yeah, it was very interesting that he came out and said it is down to Eagles and Pats for AJ Brown, and it is that Chicago is seemingly not on the table for Max. Another thing that I just sent you, Maxx Crosby is now following Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson, for those of you guys who did not see it earlier today, tagged Maxx Crosby in a tweet with eye emoji. With the eye emoji.
Yeah, it's that type of.
I don't know if he's trolling. I don't know what's going on, but you follow the breadcrumbs. Lane comes out and says that Max then follows Lane. Who knows? Maybe they're just trying to stir shit up because they know we're nuts, but. It also could be something. Who knows?
I'm pulling this up right now. Alrighty. This is the
I love
tweet.
This time of year, man. This is you know what I was just thinking about? And this is not a good memory, but it was exciting at the time. When we were in the Asamoah sweepstakes.
Yeah.
Right? It was down to the Jets and the Ravens, I want to say, right? And then they were like, a mystery team has entered the chat. Oh, no, he's going to go to the Cowboys. Right? Wasn't it the Cowboys were going after either? Yeah, they were going after Asamoah. And then, a mystery team entered, and then, boom, it's the Eagles. And that was like one of the most exciting trades or free agent signings ever. It wound up being a complete cluster, but like when we got him, and it was
the sucky part is he had flashes. There were still flashes of his old
just
self.
disinterested. Yeah.
But I think the problem was when he came in there and they decided to play zone instead of what he thrived in, and man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you saw that he wasn't.
There were too many cooks in the kitchen too, right? Like there was him, there was DRC, there was Asante.
They traded Sheldon after they got him.
Yep. It was an exciting time to get him, but it wound up being a pretty shitty situation. But it was really fun as a fan to remember those kind of free agent signings. And the same thing with Alshon when we got him in the offseason. We thought there was no way that they'd be able to afford him, and they nailed it. And that wound up being a huge piece to our offseason and Super Bowl run. Just some fun things to think back on.
Oh yeah, it was so fun. It's crazy to think, it was 2 seasons of Asamoah, and they didn't they wind up trading Asante in 2012
to the Falcons for
next year?
Yeah,
because
he didn't want to play slot.
Because I know Lito left after 2000. I think he left after 2009. He went to the Jets, I believe. Yeah. So he had left. They traded Sheldon after they got Nnamdi.
Yeah.
And then because they got DRC in the trade for Kevin Cobb.
Yep.
And then Asante left. Then they had DRC and Nnamdi. And then they
get rid of Ellis Hobbs.
Yeah, they had Ellis Hobbs.
Yeah, and that's when Hansen.
That's when it started, because in 2013, now they got Nolan Carroll, friend of the show.
He was awesome. He's such an underrated Eagle. I know we've talked about that before, but he had peak aesthetic too.
Yeah, that's very true.
Cornerback, like him, and I thought DRC had peak aesthetic, but he was just so fun to root for, Nolan Carroll. And not just because he was on the show.
Oh, Bradley Fletcher.
I loved him.
That's right. Bradley Fletcher, Kerry Williams. Then they got Nolan Carroll. They had those 3 guys they added after getting rid of those guys. And then they'd go and sign Byron Maxwell.
Michael Chiquette.
Dude,
we went, I know, but we went from purgatory to heaven.
And then, of course, you had 2016. You drafted Jalen Mills, I think in the 7th round. I think it was 2016. Yeah, the rookie year. Yeah. And then in 2017, you got Ronald Darby because you needed a corner. You traded for Darby. Patrick Robinson traded with Buffalo for him.
Who had potentially the worst preseason and training camp.
Yeah, almost got cut too.
And wound up being a Super Bowl hero.
Yeah. So you had that, and then they went into a little bit of a downward spiral, but then they added Darius Slay. They traded for him in the 2020 off season. Terrible year, but we finally, got a glimpse of something, and then, the rest is kind of history. They went to a Super Bowl loss, but then they went to another Super Bowl after getting Coop and Quignon with Darius, and it was pretty good. So let's get to the clip that I was finding.
Yeah.
So this is Ian Rappaport. It's only an 8-second clip. So
this certainly seems like it's going to be the Patriots or the Eagles for A.J. Brown, with an answer likely coming pretty soon.
So he didn't say a lot, but he did at the same time, right?
He gave us 2 teams it's down to, essentially, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
And it's likely pretty soon, which to me sounds like it's going to be within beginning of the league year. So to me, that's what I would say pretty soon would be a couple of days.
But to be, when he says pretty soon,
it's not saying the near future. Like the near future would be.
Yeah. If we're reading into this, when I hear pretty soon, that to me means he's getting traded. Right? Like that to me indicates that, because otherwise you can't say like the Eagles are going to say, they can say no to the Patriots pretty soon, but like they're not going to be like, all right, like this is it, and we're not going to have any other conversations. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know
exactly.
It was interesting wording. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
so it's going to be fun. The lead up to here is going to be interesting. It's going to be enjoyable. We're going to be back this upcoming Wednesday, which will be the start of the league year, probably with a ton of news, Eagles signings, maybe some trades. There's going to be a lot going on. We'll talk around the league, what the Eagles are doing. So going to get into all of that. Make sure you're following, make sure that you're subscribing, because when the Eagles sign somebody, you will get notifications. I'll make sure get all that out there. You'll have the graphics there. There'll be videos, all that stuff on the players that they get and what they do. So make sure you're following along. Make sure that you got subscribing. Make sure that you have the notifications on there, just so you are in there. Hit the link tree to get all that. But Matt, it's going to be fun.
It is.
I'm ready. I know you're ready, but we always like to end it with a very happy and joyful
Go Birds!
Go Birds!
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.